Welcome back to the Savage Report. I'm Andy Savage. For 2 years, a Low-Country family was on track to adopt an Oklahoma girl who was part Indian named Veronica. She came to live with Melanie and Matt Copabianco on James Island. But when Veronica turned 4 months old, her biological father back in Oklahoma changed his mind and said he wanted Veronica to live with him. After many rulings and appeals, the courts finally decided that Veronica should be returned to her biological father back in Oklahoma. One aspect of the case involved a federal law called the Indian Child Welfare Act. In a nutshell, whenever a child who's part Indian is put up for adoption, this law can intervene and possibly return the child to an Indian family. The Copabiancos say this law was used to take Veronica from them. Joining us now from the Midwest on Skype is Brandy, a mother who adopted a young girl and nearly lost her because of that Indian Child Welfare Act. We are disguising her face because she is concerned her daughter's adoption could still be appealed by the Indian tribes under this law. Brandy, thanks so much for joining us, and tell us about your daughter and why you decided to adopt this particular child.
Well, this was a private adoption, and we've always wanted more children, and my husband and I could not have any more. We just decided, we met up with this woman through a mutual friend, and we had no idea of any Indian heritage whatsoever until after she was born.
How did that affect the adoption?
Well, we had to go to court several times to appeal to try and get custody of the child because the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma told us that they would never consent to the adoption of our daughter. She is 0.2% Cherokee, and the birth mother chose us as her parents. And the birth mother had to fight her own tribe.
Let me go back, Brandy, before we get too far away from this. You didn't know this child had Indian blood. The child is born. She's in your custody. You hear that she may be entitled to certain benefits from the federal government because she has Indian blood in her. That's how you found out about it.
Yes, that's how we found out.
What you didn't know is that somebody could intervene on behalf of the Cherokee Nation and take this child away from you.
Yeah, we had no idea.
So it was the Cherokee Nation, not the biological father, who was trying to remove this child from your custody.
No, in our case, the biological father never came forward as his rights were terminated.
That's unbelievable. So people who knew nothing about this child, knew nothing about her mother, had nothing to do with the birth of the child, were able to intervene as a third party.
Yes, the birth mother, her parents, her grandparents, they all supported me and my husband adopting our daughter.
Cherokee Nation side, though, they say it's important to keep Indian heritage, the basic culture of the Indian nation in America. It's important to have this law. What do you think of that?
I agree that the law has its place. I do. But I don't think it should be automatically imposed on every situation. Our daughter has 0.2% Cherokee. The birth mother they didn't do anything to practice their heritage. We were not removing her from an Indian home.
And what benefit does it give Brandy to have Indian blood in her? What are the advantages of that?
I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know what. I mean, if there are any advantages, we don't know anything of them.
Well, Brandy, I guess you and your husband are sitting on edge now, not knowing whether or not the Indian Nation, the Cherokee Nation, is going to come back and intervene and trying to keep your daughter from you. We wish you the best.
Thank you very much.
And Brandy, thanks so much for joining us to share that story. Joining us also on Skype, but this time from North Dakota, is Lisa Morris. Lisa operates the Christian Alliance for Indian Child Welfare. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Hello.
What does your organization do?
Well, we advocate for families that are struggling with the Indian Child Welfare Act. We were created as an evangelical organization as well, and we have done music ministries and that type of thing. But at this point in time, we're pretty focused on the Indian Child Welfare Act, mainly because we've gotten so many letters and been contacted by so many people that are hurting from that act.
It's news to us here in the low country of South Carolina, but we understand you get dozens of calls from families who run into this issue when trying to adopt Indian bloodline children.
Well, it isn't just people that are adopting. on our website, we have over 90 letters that we've received over the years. I have more letters. I just haven't had a chance to put them up. But we receive calls from birth parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles. This law has terribly affected people all across the board.
And I want to ask you why that is, because the intent of the law, I think everybody agrees, is pretty good. They want to preserve the heritage of the American Indians, and they, at one point in time, thought that this was being diluted, and the culture of the American Indians was disappearing from the culture of America. So the intent of the law, I presume you would say, was good.
Well, I guess I'm probably one of the few people that would say that whole intent was very questionable. I just really wanted to stress that, it's amazing to us that this happened with Veronica, that the amount of attention it's gotten, because there have been so many other children just as innocent that this has happened to time and again. We just want to stress that this is not a rare occurrence, but this is happening all the time.
Lisa Morris with the Christian Alliance for Indian Child Welfare. And what do you think of the Indian Child Welfare Act? Share your thoughts with us at c2savagereport.com. And when we come back, two family adoption attorneys give us the intricate legal details of adoption. You're watching the Savage Report on Comcast C2, where we are all local all the time.